Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living. This is Tuesday, May 13th, and I am practitioner Sandra Cooper. And it is my pleasure to welcome each and every one of you here this evening to our wonderful discussion that will take place in a little while. But as we begin all things with God, I'm going to just invite us to take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. It's been a long, wonderful day. The sun is setting. We have chosen to be here. And so as we breathe in and out with the soft strains of the music in the back, let us just remember that there is God and a divine presence and power expresses in, through, and as that which took us through this day, enabled us to navigate every activity, conversation, and event. And it is that which is an open heart that finds itself here in this spiritual life. And so as we welcome each and every, I know that it's Christ in me, so we do Christ in me. And I'm grateful for the connection, for the inspiration, for the guidance, that which binds us together. You know, it's all God in this. And so as we bask in the goodness of God, let us just allow a few moments of quiet, just allowing the breath. Just take us on that smooth rhythm of life's instincts. Breathe in, we breathe out. Allow that to let it next few. As we breathe in and out, let's affirm together the in-breath, God is. On the out-breath, I am. God is. I am. God is. I am. And so it is. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you. I see Shima, Rev Sonia, Auntie Lil, Leighton, welcome to each and every one of you. I just want to share a little bit this evening of some of the thoughts that have been on my mind for the last, for the last couple of weeks, couple of months. I could say that over the past 6 months or so, I've been assailed by a number of accidents and health issues, which have left me wondering if I should go looking for a healer man or a healer woman in St. Thomas to fix me up with a little oil of something, or, to rub me down here or rub me down there to make it all go away. But of course, I know better. I'm a student of truth. And so I have not had to go that ways, because you see, let me just share some of the things. Just before New Year's Eve, I had a car accident. I drove over a median in the road. I didn't see it. And because it wasn't clearly lit or defined. And I was carless for nearly a month. The second thing is that in January, I started feeling severe shoulder pains caused by I came to learn it was based on something that happened after an old fall that took place, I think, back in 2016. Nothing to do with the car accident. Third thing, in March, on an annual visit to my ophthalmologist, I learned that there was a broken blood vessel in my left eye, and it was causing blurriness of my vision, and I had just gotten used to it and squinting in front of the computer screen. The fourth thing, coming from an amazing experience in St. Anne at the end of March, where I had the wonderful pleasure of seeing Dionne Warwick, I had another fender bender. It wasn't, nothing really, but it was a little carelessness on my part. Thankfully, no damage. And then the last thing, this one is funny. I've been getting a lot of persons saying crazy things to me, but you'll understand when I share. In April, I was on a work assignment in rural Jamaica, and I fell off the bed, flat on my face in the hotel room. I was feeling for a bottle of water that from the bedside table, and it had dropped off on the floor, and I bent over from the bed, I leaned over to pick up the bottle, and I just rolled off the bed myself and right flat on my face. I had what they call a coca, the size of a golf ball, between my two eyebrows, and I started to bleed profusely. Anyway, thankfully, I was able to clean that up and get home. My bus was at 6 o'clock that morning. And I got home, and then, of course, I ended up with 2 huge black and blue marks underneath my eye. And thankfully, there was no broken bone, and the black and blue, I'm not looking like a raccoon anymore. But I must admit that I had some turbulence in my thinking as I wondered what all these things were happening to me. Thankfully, my prayer work never stopped. And I was led to an amazing little book by Wayne Dyer. And it whispered the following words of wisdom into my heart, and I'll share them, and I quote, "As tough as it is to acknowledge you had to go through what you went through to get to where you are today, every spiritual advance that you will make in your life will probably be preceded by some kind of fall or spiritual disaster. Those dark times or accidents and tough episodes or periods of impoverishment, illnesses, abuses, and broken dreams were all in order," says Wayne Dyer. He continues to say, "They happened, and you can assume that they had to happen, and you cannot unhappen them." I had to read that many times. You cannot unhappen them. So today, I affirm this truth, and I know that it's a truth that will absolutely set you free. And that is, there are no mistakes, there are no accidents, only purpose in disguise. All right, so that idea might seem like a big frog to swallow and maybe a little hard to believe, especially when your heart has been shattered when you've cried into your pillow at 3 a.m., when you are beating up on yourself about the choices and mistakes you have made in your past, whether it is raising a child or children, about jobs that you have taken, relationships that you saw the red flags coming a mile away, but you jumped into them anyway. You know, it's just, when we learn how to lean into the pain and see that it's not really punishment after all, but it's preparation for something greater. Can you imagine that the heartbreak is really preparation for something bigger and better and greater? All right, so I want you to think about it. The strongest trees grow in the fiercest winds. The strongest trees grow in the fiercest winds. The most radiant souls are often shaped by fire. So your past, every loss, every betrayal, every mistake, every accident, every pop down, every misstep, you can say that each of those things served as a clear stepping stone to lead you to where you are today. So here's something I want you to think about. What if you could shift your thinking from wallowing in the consequences of a past mistake that you probably thought was horrible, to seeing it as just an outcome, just by shifting the word, this is a bad thing, to something as an outcome. It's just a result, just an outcome. You see, we'll say things like, I messed up, or this should never have happened. And so when we have those thoughts of regret and self-criticism, the thing is that it's not about the event that took place, because I started to berating myself. I mean, I'm in a new bed. It's high off the ground and it's bouncy. So it's just a matter of a combination of things and I just lost my balance, full stop. It didn't mean I was stupid. It didn't mean I was clumsy or I was careless. I just fell off the bed, full stop. Now, we have to recognize that whenever we're upset and anxious about anything, it's not so much the thing itself that is making us upset and anxious. It's what we are making it mean. So all those thoughts about I'm not good enough, or I'm stupid, I'm clumsy, I am not the type of person that they want in this organization or so. That's just self-flagellation. And it's a story that we have created in our mind that is making us behave that way. That story keeps us trapped. The event itself is just neutral. It just is what it is. And we need, what we do is that we turn it into torment. And the torment is caused by our interpretation. I wanted to get that. And so this is why our master teacher, Jesus, said in John 7:24, he says, do not judge according to appearance, but judge with righteous judgment. In other words, don't define the meaning of something based on how it looks from the outside. We have to look deeper. We have to look through the eyes of spirit. And so this is where the practice of reframing can become a sacred tool, because reframing is a psychological tool. It's used in neurolinguistic programming, and it can also become a sacred tool. We can call it divine reinterpretation, so to speak. And it's the act of clearing the clutter from the mind and the soul by choosing to see the past differently, not as punishment, but as preparation for your rising, for your grand rising. I had an experience of it just today. I'm preparing for a workshop with a corporate entity through the university, Mona School of Business. And we are actually doing conflict management and problem solving as part of a transformation and leadership program. And one of the topics that we talked about in the discussion was something called, there's something called a difficult conversations framework. And so, yes, I researched it, and yes, I found ways to deliver it and to do exercises around it. But something was nagging me, the thing of the difficult conversations framework. And I was looking for a graphic to put on a slide. I couldn't find anything about difficult conversations that I liked. And I came upon one that said courageous conversation. And I said, oh, courageous conversation, difficult conversation. And I thought, listen, the word difficult immediately conjures up an interpretation of something hard, something that is probably, you have to be serious. It can cause issues because it's difficult. But the term courageous conversation really resonated with me because it suggested to me that, we're now looking at something that takes strength and wisdom, which are God qualities. And if you can apply those God qualities to a situation where you have to have a conversation with someone, can you imagine the outcome must be better? Ernest Holmes, our founder, put it like this. He says, know that the thing you are thinking is the mold you are holding before the plastic or the creative or the formative stuff of life, and that which you believe is that which you will receive. So what you're thinking is the mold, and you're putting stuff into it based on your thoughts. So if you interpret something as negative and bad, that is going to be the outcome that you're going to have. So if you believe your past made you powerless, you will live in limitation. But if you believe that your past prepared you for purpose, you will walk in power. So I'm going to give you 3 ways to bring a spiritual lens to your past. The first thing is to shift from blame to blessing. There's an old story that Reverend John shared. Many years ago, he was driving with Reverend Elmer, founder of our church here in Jamaica. And, a taxi man, taxi men, we bless them and love them. But taxi man bad driving, in other words, pulled out in front of him. And, what was spontaneous and natural for John at the time, he gave the taxi man the middle finger. And of course, forgetting completely that Reverend Elma is sitting in the front seat of the car. And she saw. And her response at the time was just, that's right, dear. Give him a blessing. So there he is with the middle finger poking at the taxi man, and Reverend Elma is just saying, that's right, dear, give him a blessing. So instead of saying, why did this happen to me? You can see through the fluff of the experience and ask yourself, what did this prepare me for? That certainly is shifting from blame to blessing. This is a good thing. Yeah, to see the thread of grace in the situation, that's the second thing. So even in your darkest moment, God's grace is always with you. And at the time, it was there too, guiding you, protecting you, lifting you. So we have to look again at what is available to us. I remember when my beloved friend Karen Gentles passed, I was one with her daughter and Reverend John to discover her body in the bathtub at her home. And that really, really shook me up. And I'd shared it with a friend later that afternoon, and we were chatting on the phone, and she said, I have to go because she's a JP and someone had come to sign a document, and she left and she did that. And about an hour later, she called me back, and she said, come outside. And when I got to the gate, she was there. And I said, what happened? And she said, I just thought you could use a hug. And she just embraced me, and I just burst into tears. And so just that sense of the thread of grace, it was a dark time for me. And that expression of love, unconditional love that came from that friend, I cannot, it's hard to even describe it. It was just unprecedented and awesome. And the third point, we talked about reframing. So it says we need to learn to tell a different story about our past. Instead of I failed, you can say I learned. Instead of I was broken, you can say I was broken open. You get to be the narrator of your life, not its prisoner. And so this is what I know deep inside my bones, that you are not broken and neither am I. Each one of us is becoming. You are not lost, you are learning. And your story, every single page of it is sacred. So today I invite you to stop trying to unhappen your past. It was your training ground. It was your soul school. Those moments that once brought you to your knees, they were the initiation of your elevation. So before the day ends, here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to write a letter of gratitude to your past. Yeah, write that letter to your past. Thank it for what it taught you. Thank it for shaping you. Thank it for waking you up. And then when you've written it, I want you to speak this affirmation like a prayer and a promise. And it says, there were no mistakes in my life. There were only outcomes, only lessons, and only miracles in disguise. I release the past, I bless it, and I walk forward with power. I'm going to copy it and paste it in the chat in a little bit. Right? Let me say it again. There were no mistakes in my life. There were only outcomes, only lessons, and only miracles in disguise. I release the past, I bless it, and I walk forward with power. Friends, you are not a victim of your history. You are the victor of your destiny. So I invite you to walk tall, walk proud, and remember, there are no mistakes, no accidents, and maybe no regrets. Only purpose, only growth, and only God. Namaste. Let me just put that in the chat for you. Paste. Okay. And all right. You should see it now. That quote. No mistakes in my life. Only outcomes, only lessons, and only miracles in disguise. I release the past, I bless it, and I walk forward with power. So what I want you to do, just take a minute, and I want you to think of one thing that you could be, that could possibly, you might say, when I think about this particular thing, I probably could have done so and so and so differently. What is one regret you have about your life, about some aspect of your life, whether it is your career, perhaps a relationship? I can recall, like when my grandmother died, she willed her home, the family home, to her 5 grandchildren, myself being one of them. And that was 1999 when she passed. And we did nothing until the house was falling apart and deteriorating badly. And I was the one who was responsible at the time to see to it. And I didn't. And so one of the regrets was, why didn't I do this? Why did I wait for so long, and blah, blah, story. As it turns out, we decided to go ahead with it at this point in time. And I can't begin to tell you the value of the property now. If we had done it then, it would not have been, it would have been, it would have had the value. And of course, everything is relative, but now is the right time. So just write down one thing, and you don't have to share what it is, but I want you to just sit down and look at that one thing and see how you can reframe it. See what is a lesson that you could that you can glean from it. What What have you learned from that experience? I'm going to give you 60 seconds to just write that. And think about if you want to share. I welcome your feedback. So you have another 40 seconds. What is one thing you might have regrets about? Another half a minute. Okay. Couple more seconds. Okay. So I'd like to invite one of you to just share what have you learned from that situation. When you look at it, that's something that happened this year, last year, 10 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, that you might have a little tinge of regret over, even if it's a little bit, you still have some regret around that. What have you learned from that experience? Who would like to share? Auntie Lil, always good to see you. Even though it's just your name.
And I was just about to write in the chat that I'm very sorry that I have to leave because I have a 6:30 meeting.
Okay, you have
But
to
yes, I'm so upset. But
tell me
thanks
quick.
so much. What a wonderful presentation.
Tell me quick, one thing that you kind of just shift your thinking around.
I'm not even sure I have anything that I regret deeply.
No, it don't have to be deep.
Oh.
Or if you don't regret it anymore, what did you learn from it?
Mm, mm. Ooh. Can't come up with something. Um, could have done much better at the end of at sixth form in school, because the school was looking towards me, looking for me to get a scholarship, a Jamaican scholarship, and I didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking up towards the library from school a day crying. And then, but what have I learned from it? I just can do anything I set my mind to. So I graduated with a PhD with honors from the University of Wednesday this years later. So
Yeah.
I can,
Yeah.
definitely learn.
You see, no matter how far back it goes, there are things that are residually, floating around in the consciousness. And if we can really, really put them in perspective, that is awesome. Thanks for sharing, Auntie Lil. Have a good meeting when your next.
All right. Thank you. So
Situation.
sorry to have to leave.
No,
Okay.
no problem. You can see the rest of it online. Reverend Anne, you say the necessity to set boundaries earlier in my career. Approval from others should never govern my decisions. Okay. What's the learning from that, Rev?
Just that. Boundaries in the sense that, yes, you have to carve out for yourself a space that allows you to grow and unfold at your own pace, rather than allowing others to determine what you should do or what you should be.
Do you live from that lesson now?
Oh, yes. I have learned. I have learned.
Yeah. Okay. I'll take Leighton. What is something that you could say that you have learned from, maybe a regret from the past that you think is no longer a regret? You have a learning there.
I can't immediately come up with something, but what I would say is trying to be, and this sounds like something that Reverend Anne just spoke about, trying to be everything to someone in the sense that what it teaches me is that you're not helping that person. Really, what you're doing is you're depriving that person of the ability, the gift of their own self-help and independence, which is critical for our divine expression.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So what I'm hearing is that everything is unfolding as it should. Everybody's behavior, every situation, every circumstance is as it should.
Yes, it is indeed. And the more faith we have in the divine providence, and I like that word, providence, of our lives and our affairs, the oneness with divine right order and divine right thinking, then it is this faith that we are told will bring into our experience everything that is good, harmonious, perfect, and true.
Got that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. We really have to, the only time we have is now. Only time. And so, there are people that I know of that they're on their last and they're regretting not doing this or regretting not having said this or regretting a behavior. But by then one needs to just, wrap one's mind around. This is just how it was. Right now, right here, one can make that absolute shift in consciousness at any moment.
Yes, and one of the things I would like to just draw the attention to, which we all experience, is let us think of something that we believe we have lost or mislaid.
Mm-hmm.
And we become very anxious about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we go searching, we pull down the entire place. And then one day, it is the last thing in our mind. We have given it up, we have let it go. And what appears?
That thing.
That same thing. And this to me is one of the greatest examples, and again, providence of showing the divine at work, the divine.
I'm hearing in that, Leighton, the value of surrender, because in the searching and the digging up, you're so preoccupied with the thing that it will be right under your nose and you won't see it. But the minute you surrender and let it go, it appears.
Thus, faith.
Yeah.
And that was one of my words for 2025. Surrender. Surrender. And faith is surrender.
Got that. Thank you for that. Do we have any comments on YouTube? If not, I will take requests at this time. Requests for spiritual mind healing prayer, treatment, affirmative prayer, at whatever name you might want to call it. Write your requests in the chat, and I will also look at those that are online on YouTube. So this is where we just pool our consciousness in prayer or around the requests that you make. Body. Vance, can you say if anything is on YouTube?
Not yet.
Okay. So Steve, Reverend Ann, Jen, Layton, Reverend Sonia, Shima, request for prayer treatment.
Just got one.
Yes, go ahead.
For Pauline Roden, prosperity and divine right action in her affairs.
Mhm. Okay.
I could
Lay-
take one
hold
too.
on.
I'm having a little challenge using the hand, right? So I could take that too. That's why I have not been saying anything. But I'll okay, thank you. That was lovely talk. Sandy, by the way,
True,
Thank
true.
you. Thank you.
advice for how to take charge of the chain of events that will occur after
Mhm.
it's had a mishap, right? No shame, no blame, no regrets. Just
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and so many people have been saying to me that, oh, you don't want us to know that you're having a nice romp in the hotel room. That's why you roll off the bed. Oh, I wish. Nothing as exciting, I'm afraid. Just plain ordinary roll off the bed. Divine right, divine order and right action through surrender. In my life and my affairs.
That's a good response to the falling off the bed, though, you must admit.
So, sorry, Steve, what is that?
No, that thing about the ramp is really a nice positive spin, pardon the pun, on the whole matter of falling off the bed.
Indeed, I mean, I'm glad that people had those wishes for me. Maybe I'll just, acclaim them. Okay, let's go to prayer. We have for Pearline Roden, an affirmative prayer of prosperity and divine right action. Wow. So we know God, the only presence and the only power that lives in, through, and as each and every one of us. That is the very breath that we breathe. That is the energy that vibrates every cell and fiber of our physical bodies. That is permeating every activity of our lives. God and only God. And so in this consciousness, I speak these words for Pauline, knowing that, oh, her life is fully inspired by that divine presence. Her life is unfolding easily, perfectly, and effortlessly. All her affairs are in perfect order. Every aspect of her finances is unfolding easily, buoyantly, abundantly. And so I know for Pauline that her life is filled, her cup of good overflows, and that all that is required for her sustainable living, for investment, for fun and enjoyment is now flowing to her, coming through her. Her business activities, her work, her income are recognized as channels through which the outpouring of God takes place. And so I know for Pauline now, perfect, divine, right action, expressing as prosperity in every aspect of her life. And so there is nothing that can hinder this flow. There's only God to know and God to experience as abundant prosperity for Pauline. And so I now know for her that there's no impediment, there is no sense of doubt or limitation that could possibly derail this flow. And any idea to the contrary of bounty and total prosperity is now dissolved into nothingness. It's only God, it's only good, and all God and all good. And so I release my word now, just affirming and knowing for Pauline and for anyone else who is open and receptive to these words, including myself, that abundant prosperity flows in through and as each and every one of us. I know this as a truth. I'm absolutely grateful as I now release these words to that law that makes it all perfect demonstration. I give thanks that this is so, and so it is. Okay, and so now this is an affirmative prayer of divine order and divine right action for Leighton. You know, I lift up mine eyes unto the hills from which cometh my good. This is a declaration of higher consciousness. This is a declaration in knowing that as we lift up our eyes, we lift our eyes to embrace the reality of who we are and whose we are. That there is God and only God as the source and substance of our lives. And we know that with God large and in charge, every aspect of our lives is unfolding in perfect divine order. And so for Leighton, I declare his business affairs, his financial affairs, his personal affairs, relationship with his friends and family and children, it's all in perfect divine order. I see and know that every conversation that he has is grounded in love, that he loves himself so much that he creates his boundaries from which he allows himself to express and to have the kinds of relationships that are healthy and whole and supportive of both himself and anyone with whom he engages. I know for Leighton a total surrender and a releasing of any idea, thought, or impediment that could hinder his fullest expression of God's bounty, God's love, and the presence of perfect right action and divine order in his life. And so I know this as a truth about Leighton right here and right now. And I release my word, confident that Spirit is expressing in his life and affairs. It's expressing in all who surround him and who are part of his life. And that all is truly, truly unfolding perfectly and as it should. I give thanks and express deep gratitude in the knowing that all this is so known. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you. Thank you. And so it is.
Thank you.
Powerful.
Hopeful one. Please treat for the right person to do housework. I'm going to send some of my vibe to you, hopeful one. My housekeeper has been with me for 42 years. Oh, wonderful energy. So we know that God is all there is. We know God expresses as the perfect pairing for hopeful one. The perfect pairing between herself or himself and the right individual to serve as housekeeper. I'm knowing that God is the curator, the architect of all that is needed for this pairing between Hopeful One and the right person to take care of their home, to provide sumptuous, delicious meals, to keep the home space in perfect order, who has all the attributes of God expressing easily, perfectly, without hindrance. So there is wisdom, there is joy, there is light, there is integrity, there is beauty, there is harmony, and there is all that is good, and so much more being expressed in this wonderful soul. And I know for Hopeful One that he or she also embraces these qualities. So like the perfect duet being created, they come together as one to serve each other for the mutual benefit of each. And so I give thanks to know that this relationship is now being created, that this person is, following the guidance of spirit and is led to Hopeful One. And it's a beautiful relationship that has been created. I'm truly grateful to know that these words manifest as a fullest realization of this union of this person just coming into the life of Hopeful One. And it's the right person coming in the right way at the right time. I know that this is the unfoldment of God's truth. And I speak these words with clarity and confidence, releasing them now to the law, which says, yes, you have declared it, and it is truly unfolding in the perfect and most wonderful way. I gratefully accept that this is so now, and so it is. Okay. We have Dawn for healthy eyes. I could embrace that too, Dawn. Let me just write them down before I lose. So Carol.
You saw the YouTube from Carol?
Yeah, I see Carol.
For the Wear Collective project.
Yes, yes. And I could use that and pray up our Labor Day too. Carol says, listening to Leighton just now, it occurred to me that the literal meaning of worry is to strangle. So all worrying does is to squeeze a life out of any solution. I love that. I must write it down and share with my team next week. Thank you for that, Carol. So Dawn, healthy eyes. I think I have it. Okay, THC. Okay. I'll pray up Dawn, and then I'll do Wear and Temple. So God is health. That health surrounds me, it surrounds Dawn, it surrounds everybody who has a request for health in any way. We know that this health, the energy, the vibe, the vitality of health is that which expresses in every cell and fiber of every single one of us. It is expressing as Dawn, as healthy eyes. I claim that for myself as well. Healthy eyes. And I know that the divine presence of health is flowing through every single cell, every fiber, every tissue, every organ, every system, for us to experience the full health of God in every aspect of our physical bodies. But it's in this consciousness that I declare and know that behind the healing is the perfection of the infinite. The perfection that expresses in and through and as Dawn and myself right here and now. So that whatever is needed to facilitate this healing is provided. And we also know that at the deeper level, there really is nothing to heal. There is only God to know. So we declare and know God functioning in, through, and as each of us has healthy eyes, healthy vision, healthy eyesight, both at the physical level and at a deeper spiritual level. We see the reality of who and whose we are, to know that we are the fullest expressions, individualized expressions of God, and that all is well with us, for us. We truly are grateful for this truth. And in this consciousness, I release these words and just know that even as I've spoken, the law is already bringing into being the fullness of perfect health. I accept this as a truth now, and I just let it be so. And so it is. And so, divine order for the perfect execution of the Wear Collective activity, Labor Day activity this Friday, and perfect divine order for the Temple of Lights Labor Day activity also this Friday. Wow. We see God in everything, the one presence and the one power, in all persons, places, and things, in all activities. And so as we gather at our Temple of Light, as all stakeholders and concerned parties gather in that wonderful place in St. Elizabeth, supported by this amazing NGO called Wear Collective. I know it's all one place, one activity, and it's a service of God through the natural order of things. And so I know for the temple, an amazing turnout as we come to learn about our teas and herbs and container planting. We just know that the right people turn up, and it's a wonderful and joyful day. And I know the same for the Wear Collective experience. I'm feeling the rich redness of the soil beneath my feet. I'm seeing that people are drawn to the experience on their way to Calabash. I see that it is a fun and joyful day as the organization creates and crafts the way forward, facilitating the full restoration of a part of our history. I know that the art that is presented is amazing, and it is enjoyed by all who come. So our Labor Day activities are indeed a blessing to all at our temple and at the St. Elizabeth Wear Collective experience. I see God expressing in every way through the music and the people and the planting and the conversations that are happening in every way. The viewing of the art, everything is God. And there's nothing that can interfere with or hinder the perfect unfoldment of this wonderful experience we call Labor Day. And so I release my word now, assured of that truth, assured that everything is unfolding as it should, assured that it's perfect divine order taking place at the temple, in St. Elizabeth for the Wear Collective group, and everywhere else, anywhere else, and anyone else who is open and receptive to these words. I give thanks knowing that all is unfolding perfectly. I rejoice that all this is so now, and so it is. Whoa. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you, Judith. Saying, I accept the healing of mind, body, and affairs brought into, let me just finish, let me just get that fully. Brought into full expression through your focused thoughts and words. Thank you, Judith. Okay. All right, let's now quickly go to our announcements. Okay. All right, just a few quick announcements. Our weekly grief support group takes place simultaneously with this one. So we have our healing service on a Tuesday at 6, and the grief support group takes place also on a Tuesday, so you can choose. All right, and of course on Friday, we celebrate the life of our beloved Garth at the temple. So Thanksgiving service for Garth will be this Friday, May 16th at 10, right at temple. Next Sunday, May 18th, Reverend Michelle will meet with the ushers, platform assistants, and if you're interested in hosting and becoming a platform assistant, you can join us after church as well. Friday the 23rd, we said it in our prayers, the THC Thrive Labor Day 25, where we'll be looking at teas, herbs, and container gardening. So I wish I could split myself in 2 places at once, but I know it's going to be a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful day. So do come out and support our Labor Day activities, May 23rd. We are going to be celebrating volunteers at the temple on Sunday, June 1st. We have what we call Volunteer Appreciation Sunday. And all of those wonderful individuals who generously give their time, their talent, and treasure to the temple spiritual community will be having a wonderful thank you celebration on Sunday, June 1st. And we have our sister church having their Founders Day celebration on Sunday, the 8th, June 8th. And they'll be having a reggae musical called Deadlift and a cabaret show led by Ashe. And this is at 5 at the Ashe Center at 8 Cargill Avenue. And Reverend Ann will have tickets so you can speak to her about that. I think they're, what, $8,000, Reverend Ann? How much is it? Reverend Ann? All right, we'll find that out and let you know. And we have another exciting activity, and it's our Family Fun Day on Saturday, July 12th. Now, I understand that we have to get a deposit to the park, like as soon as possible. So make your decision around that fun day. It was amazing last year. We went to Frenchman's Cove and it was so much fun. And I know we're going to have fun again this year. So save the date, Saturday, July 12th. And perhaps by the time you come to church on Sunday, you can have a chat with Jennifer and make your deposit for the event. Now, next Tuesday, May 20, the healing service will be led by practitioner Tamu. And I understand that we will have as our guests members of our diaspora, our temple members who are living abroad, and they will participate in that healing service next week, Tuesday. Okay? And, we don't announce it very often, but just to remind you that every Thursday without fail, prayer power takes place at 6 o'clock. And so we invite that you come and be lifted up by the transformative power of God's love, light, peace, and joy. And the Zoom link is, it can be found on the Facebook page. And friends, if you feel moved to support our ministry, please feel free to donate at donate.templeoflightcsl.org. And we are really grateful for your generosity and for you helping us to be a beacon of light for the world. And so as you choose to give, you invite you to just say the love offering blessing. Lovingly I give, joyfully I receive. Be thou fruitful, increase and multiply. Bless, prosper, and enrich everyone whom you touch, and replenish all my financial affairs. Thank you, Father, and so it is. I will say our prayer for our center. The Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living is a sacred field embodying our spiritual community, from which the Christ, peace, and joy emanate to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, and to liberate anyone who comes into contact with it at any time. The light of the Christ illumines us, our center, and our environment. Our spiritual community is filled with and surrounded by the presence of God and is growing from strength to strength. The power of God expands our consciousness of truth, guiding us ceaselessly along the paths of wisdom, spiritual growth, unfoldment, and attainment. We are blessed, and to God be the honor and the glory forever, and so it is. And the prayer for Jamaica. The radiant light of God's love is now flowing through us and from us to everything and everyone it touches. The eternal light of God's love now completely fills, covers, and surrounds our island, Jamaica. The glowing intensity of the light of God's love now interpenetrates and awakens within the hearts and minds of our countrymen and women the truths of life which set free. The light of God's love is growing and glowing in intensity in the hearts and minds of our countrymen and women everywhere. Love, health, harmony, goodwill, peace, uprightness, integrity, joy, prosperity, kindness, and our oneness under God are now established. And so it is. And so we come to the end of our spiritual mind healing service today. Remember to connect with us next Tuesday, May 20, or link up with the Science of Mind Diaspora. And so we give thanks for this gathering this evening. We give thanks to know that all who came is taking away a special blessing, and they know what that blessing is. And knowing that everyone now moves forward with a whole different view of the past, giving thanks for the lessons and the learning, and knowing that those help to facilitate our absolute spiritual magnificence. So now we go to our respective destinations, enlightened, inspired, and ready to embrace all our wonderful possibilities. We truly are grateful for the divine presence operating in, through, and as each and every one of us, and for this wonderful experience we call the Science of Mind and the truth that sets us free. I release these words now, knowing that they are fully and powerfully unfolding as they should. And I give thanks for this perfect realization. And so it is. Amen and amen. Friends, thank you so much for being part of my journey and for being part of this evening's healing service. Go with God and go in peace. Namaste.
You did a wonderful job, Sandy. Wonderful. I just couldn't get online at one